Hi everyone, Sart here. And wait a minute. This isn't a live stream? It's an actual VOD? Yes, it is. I've been wanting to do these kinds of videos for a while, so I was like, you know what? I have the time. I was able to organize and manage a lot more things, so now I'm going to be able to do this more often. So, first off, I was planning on this coming out before Halloween, but unfortunately wasn't able to manage my time for it to be done before Halloween. So instead, you're getting it whenever this comes out. But nonetheless, let's just talk about this a little bit. So I wanted to do something spooky and cute, which got me thinking about cryptids because I love the spooky stuff. I like the darker side of the internet. I had a little bit of a creepypasta phase back in high school, so I've always been into the little bit of the creepy, spooky things of the online world. You know, what if I mixed something creepy with something cute? And cute things got me thinking about magical girls and cryptid magical girls. And that ended up being our little Halloween theme for this little series. Now, before I got into doing any of the drawings, I had to think about it for a second. What exactly does make a magical girl a magical girl? Let's look at some magical girl animes and kind of get a little bit of an idea of what exactly is a magical girl. Of course, looking at popular shows like Sailor Moon, Madoka Magica, The Pretty Cure. So, after looking at some of these animes, I was able to track down a few things. One, each member of the team has their own main color. Even if you don't remember their names, you remember their color. Next, every girl has a, quote, weapon. I say it in quotes because most of the time it's not an actual weapon. Sometimes it's a magical weapon. So they can either have a bow or a sword, or it could be something like a wand or a stick. And lastly, but not the least, every magical girl has a magical item, or how I describe it, a charm that they use in order to transform. So, in short, magical girls have about four main things, actually. First off, their outfits do not have to match. Sailor Moon just had a different approach to it, but they each did have their own unique color, which is point two. Three, they have to have a weapon of some sort, whether it be magical or an actual weapon. And lastly, number four, they have to have a magical charm or item to use to transform. Now, I kept these ideas in mind when making each one of these, though I somehow did it unconsciously, meaning that when I actually went in to do these, I kind of jumped into it and didn't really put in the thought about it, but slowly as I went through them, I guess I just had watched so many magical girl animes that it has been thoroughly ingrained in me all of these main characteristics of what makes a magical girl a magical girl. So, with that being said, let's actually dive right into our first cryptid. The man, the myth, the legend himself. I feel like when people ask you, do you know what a cryptid is? Mothman and Bigfoot are probably the main answers that anybody would give. Mothman has, of course, become a little bit mainstream with all the merch and, of course, his statue in the town where he was first spotted, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Now, speaking about Point Pleasant, let's dive a little bit into the design. So, I did use Point Pleasant as a jumping off points of sorts for the idea of his full design, because Point Pleasant made me think of Pilgrim made me think of Puritan, so I looked up traditional Puritan clothing from that of the colonial times. And in doing so, I came up with this little teacup dress and a little hood thing that apparently is called a coif. Yes, I wrote that in the script, and I should have bolded that. because I had to find it a bit. Which is like the little headdress that covers their hair. I just made it a little bit bigger, made it into a hood, slapped some red eyeballs onto it, and gave her her little iconic antennae. She is also wearing some tights to give the fully covered traditional look and cute little Mary Janes. Her hood also holds her cute little magical charm, which is this cute little moth pendant with a little red orb on it. It wasn't hard to come up with a weapon idea for her since moths are attracted to light, like many little bugs are. So it was easy to give her just a cute little lantern. The lantern then fed into an idea of her magical ability, which I will go over at the end of this video. When going into color, I wanted to add more than just red and black, and did an experiment with purple, but it didn't go over well, and settled on her typical color palette of the black and red, with her main color being red. I still kept the purple in her hair to make her face pop out a little bit. And with that, we have Mothman Magical Girl. Next up, the Jackalope, one of my favorite cryptids. It's just a little cute jackrabbit with antlers on it. What's not to like about this cute little guy? I first heard about this little one from a Scooby-Doo movie called Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders. Yes, I did have to look up that name because I completely forgot what the movie was called. However, I never went fully down the rabbit hole with where the origins of the jackrabbit originated. Yes, pun intended with that. I found that the origins are in Native American mythology, but is not from one specific tribe. I was able to track the origins to Wyoming and searched up tribes within the area and picked one of those as the inspiration for our little jackrabbit. I chose, forgive my pronunciation about this, I chose the Arapahoe people. I mainly referenced the basic shape of their clothes and chose to stay away from specific designs as those could be culturally significant and I did not want to incorrectly represent that rich culture. I highly recommend for people to learn more about a culture or even do more in-depth research as to respect any culture that they want to represent in their art. It's a respectful service not only to the culture that you're referencing, but also it gives you as an artist respect. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, just please be respectful when you're inspired by other cultures. With that being said, I began to try my best to mix the design of not only a magical girl, but also pay homage to the origins of the jackalope. To make the design more fantastical, I added antlers to her headband and gave her cute bunny ears. I also made her moccasins look a little bit like rabbit paws. The green comes from a Yu-Gi-Oh card pack that was inspired by cryptids, so yes, her magical power is green. I also looked into any weaponry that the people had and decided to use a war club. Now, of course, doing more research into it to ensure that it was respectfully represented for what the original weapon was. And with that being said, here's our little hopping jackrabbit. And now we're going to hop away to our next cryptid. To continue our cryptid journey, we head to Appalachia in the Pines Wilderness for this devil. Yes, the Jersey Devil. Now, this little guy has many legends to its origin, but mainly they were the 13th child of the Leeds family who lived in the Pine Barrens area. The child was born in a stormy night, and some say it came out as a monstrous creature that then flew away through the chimney. Others say the baby was normal and then turned into this monstrous creature and flew out a window. There is one part of these devilish tales that I can incorporate into their power, which I will be, of course, talking about later. But it specifically has to do with their chilling screams. When it came to the design, however, my imagination was not flowing much. But I did create most of this on a live stream, and thankfully my live stream chat did help me. By the way, if you want to come and interact with our live chat, I stream on Twitch. So maybe you can help me come up with newer designs if we ever do these kinds of cryptids again in future. The live stream chat gave me an idea of 1970s, so I was like, let's do a 1970s style for this one. The bell sleeves and bell-bottom jeans to reflect its wings, lovely long nails for those claws, large earrings to reference their ears, and a belt to hold their charm and their weapon. Yeah, that tail is not a tail, but a whip that can be detached from the belt. A little like Chat Noir's tail design from Miraculous Ladybug. Her shoes, however, are not from the 70s, but are inspired by chaos costumes that make creature footwear. I will link their website below if you wanted to take a look or if you're interested in those kinds of things. Honestly, I've been following them for a few years, so they are a great inspiration for this. Now, trying to find a definite main color for the Jersey Devil was difficult, since I couldn't use red. But I could use orange. So orange it was. She got an orange, reddish shirt and some lovely ginger hair. I drew her in a blowout hairstyle to complete that 70s look. And I really love how that hairstyle turned out. I now need to add it to more characters so I can draw this more, because it turned out beautiful. She's so pretty. And with that, we have our completed Jersey Devil. Honestly, really love how this came out. The 1970s style just somehow complemented this character so well. And of course, she is our resident fashionista. With that being said, let's move on into our last and our final cryptid. Yes, again, it is another, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Bigfoot! I don't know why I said it like that, but they are also known as Sasquatch. There are many myths and legends surrounded by this hairy humanoid, but most people know him from his famous walking photo and video, which I did capture as a pose reference in this drawing. This cryptid inhabits the Grand Forest of Oregon and the west coast of North America. I found some skeptical information that said that Bigfoot has magical powers, and if it is true, then that makes them the perfect cryptid to turn into a magical girl. I decided to go for a monochrome color palette for their outfit. By the way, monochrome does not mean black and white value, it just means using one hue or color at different values from lighter purple to darker purple. For the overall style, I went full whatever felt good. Going with a lot of fur to reflect Bigfoot's hairy body. I also decided to annex the shoes because I thought it would take away from the idea of Bigfoot. As for their weapon, I was originally going to give them a tree log, but decided on shrinking it to a stick staff. I of course also gave her some very big, poofy, voluptuous curls for her hair, and ending it off with that, again, beautiful walking pose. Now, with that being said, let's take a closer look at all of these girls. all so much for watching, and if you made it this far, please consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing to see more of these videos in future. I really want to do more projects like this, especially this series, since we mainly only covered cryptids from the United States, but I want to cover cryptids from around the world. By the way, if you are interested, I did also turn these into prints for you all to enjoy, but something I want to know, what is your favorite cryptid? Now, as I always say, may the winds guide you. Until next time, goodbye.